Hi there, Diamond C friends and community. So at Diamond C, our purpose is to fuel the growth and success of our team members, customers, and community abroad. And anytime we see that happening, we get really excited, which is what this video is all about, one team member story of growth with the team. I've been honored and blessed to get to watch this guy, Manny, grow from fresh out of high school into the incredible leader that he is today, and recently heard him share some of his perspective on his journey and his philosophy on leadership that were really impactful to me. So I asked Manny if we could catch up for an interview to share it with the world. So listen up. Well, Manny, thank you for taking a few minutes to meet with me this morning. I've watched you grow here and accomplish some pretty remarkable things over the last few years. So I just wanted to meet up for a few minutes and hear your perspectives on the journey, your journey at Diamond C so far, and just get some feedback from you on leadership philosophies and how you've accomplished what you have so far. So to get started with, I just have a few easy kind of warm-up questions for you. So how old are you?
I'm 23.
23, young man for the leader that you are, for sure. How long have you been at Diamond C?
For 5 years.
5 years. Has this been your only job, only place to work?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how did you end up at Diamond C to begin with?
Well, I was 18 at the time, and I was really looking for a job that, offered something for me to learn, a skill, and this industry is welding.
Yeah.
One of the jobs, but welding mainly, and I was very interested. I knew I can't start as a welder because I did not have any experience, but I'm very glad they offered me the opportunity to start off.
Yeah. So how long would you say it took you to learn welding once you started?
About a month.
Okay.
About a month, but you got to invest your time on yourself.
Yeah.
And that was during breaks. Anytime I had, spare time, I was asked, hey, let me borrow, let me throw a bead or something.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
At the time, and still, there's been great people here.
Yeah.
And they always love seeing the new guys. Hey, this guy is learning. And I think they get a pride of saying, hey, I taught them.
Yeah, right.
Or something. When they become good workers, and
for sure. So you had a good teachers around, but you also you said you took even time on your breaks and things to put in that extra measure of effort and perfect your skill to learn quickly.
Yes, sir.
Which is remarkable. What was your actual first job when you started then?
I was a welder helper.
Okay.
I used to stock up the lines and help any welder that needed help.
Okay. So how did you go from welder helper 5 years ago to now today you are the Fleet Neck Department Manager, which manages how many people? Leads and manages?
About 50.
About 50 people that you're responsible for leading and managing now. So how did you go from welder helper with no experience 5 years ago to leading and managing 50 people in just 5 years?
Well, it's a long learning curve, and you really need to invest the time, very strategically, and always be open for new opportunities, because that's how you'll be able to, climb up the ladder.
Yeah.
And to always stay true.
Yeah.
And open to new ideas, give your ideas, and figure something out.
Yeah. So what were your first steps from welder helper? How did you progress from there? You were in R&D for a while.
Yes, sir.
What was that like? What'd you do there?
For R&D, my supervisor was Valentine, and he taught me a lot of great stuff. Jigs is something very different from production to helping make production. So there's a lot of thoughts that go into it, simplifying, making it easy.
Yeah.
And we built a few jigs. I want to say 10 or 12 jigs total. We're not small by all means.
Right.
We're pretty big and complex, but it's different. It's a good skill to learn.
Right.
Because I don't think you'll forget it.
Yeah.
And from there, from R&D, they sent me over to Fleet Neck, where we were designing the new EBTs, the gooseneck engineered beam.
Right.
And man, some of the most beautiful trailers I've seen.
That's right. That's right. So you actually were involved in the engineered beam project from day one.
Yes, sir.
Or around day one, and started building the fixtures that we use to build those beams in that process. So then when production started up, you went from R&D with the jigs
Yes, sir.
to get them running and in production, and worked your way up to become production manager there.
Yes, sir. For Fleet Neck, I was teaching the guys about the new style trailers because all the guys have very good experience. But since those goosenecks, those beams are so new
Right,
that
right.
you can't just build them like
Yeah.
the normal ones,
Yeah.
the structural beam.
Right.
And from building, I was helping the lines, then leading the line,
Right.
and then supervising the
Yeah,
line.
you became a teacher, really.
Yes, sir.
You became a teacher. So last week we were in a meeting together, and you said some things about leadership that were, and the ways you lead, that were just pretty deep and profound to me. Things that I wanted to share with the rest of the Diamond C team, and with viewers, listeners on our social channels that I think would find value in it also. So I've watched you as a brand new leader, fresh out of high school, learning leadership, learning how to teach people. I've watched you through that process build some very strong and successful production teams, which is just remarkable. So I wanted to ask you the question, what would you say are your principles for building a strong team?
For one, you gotta understand people. They're not the same. You can't treat one person the same as another one. They're people. They're humans. So
Right.
you gotta stay humble at all times. And then from there, you also gotta understand that people take time to learn the process, the steps. What's expected of them. Communication is very important. You have to train them right, and you also need to understand that maybe a person is not doing well in this spot, but maybe he'll be better in another spot.
Yeah.
So you always have to be open for change,
Right.
for the benefit of the team and for themselves. From there, you teach them, you show them the process, you tell them what you expect from them, and then from there, you'll hold them accountable.
Yeah.
And accountability is a lot of things. It's not just doing the job, but it's also teaching them when they do wrong. Sometimes, mistakes happen, and that's something very human. And from there, you have to show them, hey, this is what went wrong. I'm gonna show you how to fix it. From there on, it's up to you. You know the outcome and you know the solution.
Yeah.
So they'll have to make a choice, and most of the time, they'll keep that in mind
Yeah.
from happening. Also, I would never bring up issues in front of everybody.
Right.
I'll directly report to them, hey, this is going on, we need to solve this. And if it becomes a team effort, like a station, that's when I'll address them for all three.
Right.
But it would just be those particular people.
Yeah.
Just to avoid any friction between the other team members or, feeling like they're being made fun of.
Yeah.
It's not a good way to solve things.
Right. For sure. So you've, I think a key part of your strategy from what you're saying is you've just been very intentional in investing in your team members.
Yes, sir.
Kind of teaching them one by one, investing in them, teaching them what they needed to know to be successful in their roles. And then acknowledging accountability as a key factor in building high performance teams.
Yes, sir.
So how do you go about accountability in the day-to-day? How do you hold your team members accountable for that high standard that you've taught them and made clear in your expectations?
To be clear with them, what's good and what's not. And there is no fine line. This is good and this is bad. And if anything, the end result is the customer, a happy one. And when we do bad work, the customer gets to see that.
Yeah.
And I would always express the idea, of buying a new car. When you buy a new car, 20, 30, 40, 50,000, you want it to be perfect. And it's the same analogy here,
Right.
Customers are spending a pretty penny here.
Right.
And I want them to get their worth of it.
Right.
And I make them see it that way, and also, that every single one of them plays a part of that product.
Yeah.
Every hand that goes through it, it's labor that is an investment towards that end result. So,
yeah, what's really impressive to me about your team, the teams that you've built are also some of the most stable teams in the whole organization, with the lowest turnover rates. So this idea of really strong leadership, investing in them, in teaching them and training them carefully, and then holding them accountable to that high standard, it actually fuels their growth and success. It helps each of the team members accomplish even more and become even more valuable players in the process, which is just an amazing thing, because it's what we are all about, is fueling the growth and success of our team members, customers, and community. And you know, your formula is working. It's working. You're doing that through building the teams the way you do. So, in concluding, man, I have kind of one final question for you. We've talked about your journey, growth in a few short years, just some remarkable accomplishments in leadership already at such a young age. What advice would you give to someone that is looking to grow personally and in their careers? What advice would you give them?
Best advice I could give them is, you know, not to be afraid. Yes, you might be very young at the time, but you have to take the step. And the first step is the most important, because it's overcoming that fear or overcoming the challenge. And from there on, you just have to be very committed to it, relentless about it, because there won't be a perfect time, but you'll make a perfect time eventually. And it's an investment. It's an investment for yourself, your family, and your future. And it's up to you. It's up to you if you want it or not.
Yeah, so you've got to commit and invest yourself, is what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Commit and invest yourself. Well, that's exactly what you've done, and it's shown up. And man, I don't say it often enough, but I just have to say thank you again for all the work and things that you've accomplished here so far. You know, the future here is bright, and man, I'm just looking forward to continuing to grow with you and with the total team. So thank you for your time and perspectives on everything. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.